In 1943, the Allies were losing, not the whole war, but the next, most crucial step. They had pushed the Germans out of North Africa, and now they had to invade Europe. There was only one logical place to do it, the island of Sicily. It was the soft underbelly of Europe, the perfect stepping stone into Italy, and Adolf Hitler knew it. He had fortified Sicily with over 300,000 troops, coastal batteries, and panzer divisions. The Germans weren't just expecting an invasion, they were praying for one. A direct assault on Sicily wouldn't be a battle, it would be a slaughter. Winston Churchill and his war cabinet faced an impossible problem. They couldn't change the location of the invasion, so they had to do something far more difficult. They had to change Adolf Hitler's mind. But how do you deceive an enemy that is already expecting you? How do you convince them to look away just for a moment? The answer came from a mad idea in a forgotten spy novel. An idea so morbid, so bizarre, and so grisly, it was almost rejected as a joke. The plan? To find a dead body, invent a fake life for it, and let it wash up on the shores of the enemy, carrying a secret that would change the course of the war. This is the declassified story of Operation Mincemeat, and how one spy's grisly corpse trick, built on a foundation of lies, love letters, and a single overdraft notice, fooled the entire German high command, moved 3 armies, and saved tens of thousands of lives. The man in charge of this insane idea was a brilliant, eccentric naval intelligence officer named Ewan Montague. He worked in a damp, windowless basement in London known as Room 13. His job wasn't to fight, his job was to think. And the problem, as he saw it, was one of trust. You see, the Germans were brilliant, their counterintelligence was superb. If the Allies simply planted fake documents, the Germans would find them. They would analyze the paper, the ink, the chain of custody, and they would know instantly that it was a plant. The lie had to be perfect. It had to be human. The core idea came from a memo written by another officer, Charles Cholmondeley. He recalled a line from a 1930s spy novel that described planting false papers on a dead body. It was morbid, it was grotesque, it was perfect. Why? Because a man who died in a plane crash at sea, carrying sensitive documents in a briefcase chained to his wrist, wasn't a plant, he was a tragedy. And the Germans wouldn't analyze a tragedy with suspicion, they would analyze it with sympathy. The open loop was created. They needed a man. But to fool Hitler, they couldn't just use any corpse. They had to find one, and they had to do it without anyone knowing. This is where the story turns from clever to grisly. Montague and his team began a secret, desperate search. They needed a male body of fighting age with no family who would ask questions. They needed someone who had died, but whose body was pristine. After weeks of dead ends, they found him. His name was not Major William Martin. His name was Glyndwr Michael. He was a 34-year-old homeless man, a drifter. His life had been one of tragedy and anonymity. On January 26, 1943, desperate and starving, he had ingested rat poison. Crucially, the poison killed him slowly, leaving his internal organs damaged, but his outward appearance, his body, was completely unharmed. He looked like a man who had simply fallen asleep. In the cold, sterile ledger of the London coroner, Glyndwr Michael was a man nobody wanted. For Ewan Montague, he was the man who would save the world. The team secretly acquired the body. They put it in a custom-built, dry ice-cooled container labelled optical instruments. Glyndwr Michael was now government property. But a body is just a prop. To make the Germans believe, Montague had to create a person. The first letter was sweet, full of hope, Written on that pale blue airmail paper, it read, in part, "And I am, of course, terribly thrilled that you are coming, but darling, do be careful, and I am so looking forward to our weekend. Don't let them work you too hard, and do take care of yourself, my darling. It's sweet, it's loving, it's a little boring." But the second letter was the masterpiece. It was dated just one day before his fatal flight. It was passionate, messy, and tinged with jealousy. "My dearest Bill, I've just had a chance to snatch a few minutes. It's all terribly exciting, but please let me know as soon as you are safe. I've been thinking so much about you. And darling, I've been thinking so much about us. Why did you let me go to that party? I'm so cross with you. I know that girl with the ridiculous platinum hair. You knew she would be there. I know you two used to be just friends. Darling, I am so terribly in love with you." See, now here's the key line. "I can't wait for the 10th of June, just to think, our wedding day. Don't forget me. Don't be silly, and please, my darling, come back to me. All my love, Pam." Do you see the genius of it? It's messy, it's insecure, it's real. A German spy reading that wouldn't see a plant. He would see a passionate, complicated relationship. He'd see a man who had a fight with his fiancée, a man who was distracted. To complete the illusion, they added, 2 stubs from a London theatre show, a receipt for an engagement ring from a Bond Street jeweller, a set of keys, a book of stamps, a pencil. They took Major Martin's uniform belt and then they wore it for 3 months to give it a lived-in feel. They even rubbed the inside of his wallet with a piece of cloth to simulate wear. The pocket litter was complete. It told the story of a flawed, real, slightly careless man, desperately in love, bad with money, and about to get married. This was the man they were going to murder. Now for the documents. This was the mincemeat itself. The grisly corpse was just the delivery mechanism. The real weapon was a single official letter placed inside the briefcase chained to his wrist. The letter was from the Vice Chief of the Imperial General Staff to General Alexander, the Allied commander in North Africa. It was a personal letter full of military jargon and a clever, offhand remark. The letter discussed the real upcoming invasion. It stated clearly that the Allies were planning to attack Greece. It casually mentioned that Sicily was just a diversionary target, a feint. To make the lie even more convincing, the letter accidentally let slip that the code name for the real Greek invasion was Operation Husky. This was a double bluff of staggering genius. The Allies' real code name for the Sicily invasion was Operation Husky. The Allies were betting that the Germans, upon capturing this letter, would search their radio intercepts, see all the chatter about Operation Husky, and they would believe it all pointed to Greece, not Sicily. They were using their own real secret information as bait. On April 30th, 1943, the time had come. The team dressed the body of Glinda Michael in the full uniform of Major William Martin. They placed the love letters, the banknote, the theatre stubs, deep into his pockets. They chained the briefcase with the mincemeat letter to his wrist. He was loaded onto the submarine Seraph. The Seraph sailed in total secrecy to the coast of Huelva in Spain. Why Spain? Because Spain was neutral, but it was also crawling with German Abwehr, Secret Service agents. It was the perfect back door to Hitler. At 4:15 a.m. in the pre-dawn darkness, the submarine surfaced. The crew, with grim reverence, unwrapped the body. The sub's commander read the 39th Psalm. "I will keep my mouth with a bridle while the wicked is before me." They gently slid the body of Major William Martin into the water, and then they waited. It was a domino chain, and the first domino had been pushed. The body was found hours later, as planned, by a Spanish fisherman. The Spanish authorities, noting the importance of the man, immediately contacted the local German consul. This is where the plan almost failed. The Spanish, being neutral, were reluctant to just hand over the body and the briefcase to the Germans. They also didn't want to give it back to the British. For 9 days, Ewan Montagu and his team in London were blind. They were in an agony of suspense. Did the fish take the bait, or did the whole thing sink to the bottom of the ocean, a complete failure? They sent frantic, coded telegrams to the British Embassy in Spain, pretending to be looking for Major Martin. "Have you found him? His briefcase is vital." This, of course, was all for the benefit of the Germans, who were listening to every transmission. Finally, the Spanish were persuaded. They allowed the top German Abwehr agent in Spain to borrow the documents. The agent, in a secret back room, carefully, meticulously, steamed open the envelopes. Imagine that German agent. He pulls out the main letter. He sees the official plan to attack Greece. He's a professional. His first instinct is, this is a trap. But then he goes through the pockets. He doesn't find a super spy. He finds a man. He finds the angry letter from the bank. Ha, he thinks, just like my brother-in-law, always in debt. He finds the theatre stubs. He finds the engagement ring receipt. And then he finds the letters from Pam. He reads the first one. How sweet. He reads the second one. The messy one, the jealous one. He sees the ink stains. He smells the faint trace of perfume. And in that moment, Major William Martin stops being a target. He becomes a person, a tragic, lovesick fool who died on his way to a vital mission. The German agent believed in Pam, and because he believed in Pam, he believed in the lie. The documents were photographed, they were copied, they were sent via the fastest possible diplomatic pouch directly to Berlin. They landed on the desk of Adolf Hitler. On May 12th, Hitler met with his high command. His own generals told him, "Mein Führer, Sicily is the obvious target." But Hitler knew better. He had the proof. He had the personal letters. He had the mincemeat. He dismissed his generals. He declared, "The documents from Spain are authentic. The invasion will be in Greece, not Sicily." The grisly trick had worked. Hitler went all in. He ordered the 1st Panzer Division out of France and sent it to Greece. He ordered 2 more Panzer Divisions to move towards Sardinia. He ordered torpedo boats, aircraft and U-boats away from Sicily and to the Greek islands. He moved 3 entire armies, over 100,000 men, to the wrong place, all because of a homeless man, a jealous fiancé, and an overdraft notice. On July the 9th, 1943, the real Operation Husky began. 160,000 Allied troops stormed the beaches of Sicily. They were expecting a wall of panzers. They were expecting a bloodbath. Instead, they found light resistance. The main German and Italian defenders were waiting in Greece. The battle for Sicily, which planners had predicted would cost tens of thousands of lives and take 3 months, was won in just 38 days. The soft underbelly of Europe was broken. Mussolini fell from power. The war in Italy had begun. The grisly corpse trick had not just worked. It had exceeded their wildest imaginations. After the invasion, the German High Command was in chaos. They realized too late that they had been fooled, but they never figured out how. They blamed Spanish spies. They blamed the Italians. They never suspected that Major Martin was a complete fabrication. And what of the hero of the story, Glyndwr Michael, the homeless man who, in death, was given a purpose he never had in life? After the Spanish handed his body back to the British, he was buried. He was buried in the Spanish town of Huelva with full military honours. His gravestone reads, William Martin, Major, Royal Marines. For decades, his true identity was one of the war's most closely guarded secrets. Only in 1998 did the British government finally declassify the files. They added a new inscription to the gravestone, a postscript. It reads, Glinda Michael, served as Major William Martin, R.M. It's a strange thought. History is full of great men, generals, presidents, and kings. But the battle that turned the tide of the war in Europe wasn't won by a great man. It was won by a nobody, a homeless drifter who, with the help of a few insane spies and a grisly idea, became the most important man who never lived. This entire operation, this insane trick that saved 10,000 lives, cost the British government almost nothing, except, of course, for the cost of one engagement ring, 2 theatre tickets, and 1 angry letter from a bank. Of all the pocket litter they created, which detail do you think was the most brilliant piece of the puzzle? The passionate, jealous love letters, or that stupid overdraft notice? Let me know in the comments.